I got my hands on the Dell XPS 13, which is back with a surprisingly low price point that's ready to compete with Apple's MacBook Neo. The XPS 13 starts at just $699, which is only $100 more than the MacBook Neo and way under the price of most XPS systems, which are known as premium laptops. It's a really surprising price point from Dell and super competitive against the Neo, which sort of reset our expectations for what a budget laptop could be priced at. The recent XPS 14 and 16 cost upwards of $1,500. This is way cheaper in comparison, but while there are some concessions, Dell did not just strip away everything that makes it an XPS. One of the crucial things it still sports is the all-metal body. It looks really nice. It's also really light. It's lighter than the MacBook Neo. It weighs only 2.2 pounds, so it's super portable, but still has that premium metal build. Usually you see some, frankly, just cheap-feeling plastic in this category, so it's really nice to see a completely metal body. But there are some differences from the more expensive XPS systems. The XPS 14 and 16 redesign included a flush keyboard with no lattice or space between the keycaps. The XPS 14 and 16 have this seamless, invisible-looking touchpad with haptic feedback. This is a more traditional mechanical touchpad. It's pretty understandable that that would be one of the concessions that you'd make. The futuristic redesigns of the 14 and 16 are pretty cool, but that's, it's nice to have. It's not essential if we're going to cut down to what's important and still keep the quality. I understand both the keyboard and the touchpad on the XPS 13. Now, that $100 price difference over the Neo, I do think it justifies itself here. The keyboard does have backlighting here, which kind of somewhat surprisingly is absent on the Neo. Again, as I said, to reach these price points, you have to make some concessions. Backlighting feels something to me that's a little bit borderline, kind of feels non-negotiable on a laptop in 2026, in my opinion, so it is really nice that it's here. Now, I don't think the keyboard or touchpad are super premium or stand out in any way. They're passable, they're comfortable enough, not quite as nice as you might get as far as feedback and feel on some more premium laptops, but again, cut to the basics while keeping things an acceptable level. I think really Dell kind of nailed that for this system. Just as importantly, a basic keyboard and touchpad aren't really going to be something that the intended users of this, like college students or anyone looking for a cheap laptop, are really going to complain about. This is meant for education. You can actually get it $100 off if you're a student, which is something the Neo also offers, although I believe that this is only for a limited time with the XPS. XPS 13, that means a 13-inch screen. This is a 2560 by 1600 screen. That's a pretty high resolution again for a budget laptop. It's very close in pixel count to the MacBook Neo, but this does have touch support, which is lacking on all Apple laptops, not just the Neo, and is something that's not essential again, but is really nice to be included on a laptop this inexpensive. A lot of Windows users really have no interest in a touchscreen, frankly, but some do. I've always seen it's like a nice to have. I don't think I'm gonna go out of my way to buy a touchscreen laptop, but if you're browsing notes in class or goofing off in class and you're just scrolling around and keeping notes or doodling or something, it's just kind of nice to have a touchscreen sometimes. Sometimes you just have the inclination to poke and scroll, and it's a premium feature to have in a budget laptop. How is Dell getting the price down so low, and what's powering this system? This is running Intel's Wildcat Lake processors, which we haven't had a chance to test yet, but are sort of an entry-level Core 3 series as opposed to the Core Ultra 3 series alternative for entry-level laptops like this. Obviously, haven't gotten a chance to test the performance of those chips myself, either in general or in this specific laptop, but hopefully you should get some pretty solid entry-level performance. That's sort of what the chip is designed for. Again, with the Neo, that does not run Apple's M series silicon. It uses a mobile chip from their iPhone series, so both of them have concessions as opposed to more premium laptops that really push performance. This is about portability, efficiency, keeping your battery life running. Dell says about 17 hours. Again, something we will test ourselves. If you are looking for more performance, Dell is going to launch the Panther Lake chips inside this laptop a little bit later after launch. More specifically, the XPS 13 starts with the Core 5 320 Wildcat Lake chip, as well as 8 GB of memory and 512 GB of solid-state storage. The Core Ultra model will be able to run 16 GB or 32 GB of memory and up to 1 TB of storage. While the presumed greater performance of the Panther Lake chips that will eventually launch in this laptop are appealing, I think it sort of gets away from the main appeal of this laptop, which is that super low price point. So if you're a student or someone who just wants a basic laptop, I would stick to the base model, go for the Wildcat Lake chip. Panther Lake performance will be nice, and you might like the 13-inch form factor, so that could be a reason to go for Panther Lake chips. Generally speaking, I think the great appeal here is the price, keeping it as low as possible, as long as the Wildcat Lake chips in our testing prove that they're worthwhile. One more differentiator here, the USB-C ports on this model do not have Thunderbolt 4. They will on the Panther Lake version. You can get higher throughput speeds that way. So if you need to transfer data faster, you might want to hold out for that Thunderbolt 4 model. One more feature that goes with that, it supports Wi-Fi 7. The Neo only supports Wi-Fi 6E, a slight advantage, but again, this $100 price point, especially when you're considering a Windows machine, which often adds in a bit of a price premium, it really is sticking pretty close and bringing some advantages over the Neo. So I honestly think it makes a pretty good case for itself. This is one more thing to show you that sounds a little minor, but it's one of those things that makes a big difference in daily use. This is a 65-watt charger, a more portable design. You can flip the plug in there, USB-C, much smaller than a normal adapter. This whole thing, 2.2 pounds and this tiny adapter, it's really a very portable system. We were happy to see the return of the XPS brand, and we're even happier to see this new entry, which gives a really appealing price point. I personally think it justifies its slightly higher cost over the MacBook Neo. It's not like they have exact feature parity and this costs more inherently. It brings the metal build, it has the key backlighting, Wi-Fi 7, a touchscreen. That probably is worth more than $100 difference, frankly. So I think a lot of that is really appealing. This joins the stable of 14-inch and 16-inch XPS systems we already like, and we can't wait to test it and its Wildcat Lake chip out when they become available. Check back soon for a full review of this system, and don't forget to check out PCMag.com and our YouTube for the latest hands-on and news from Computex.